So I did a previous video about how the industry in Philadelphia, or the kind of jobs that were here in Philadelphia that created uh, Philadelphia's unique character and identity. So I didn't go into too much detail about how that the manufacturing industry had declined. I just mentioned that it happened, but I didn't really mention so much about how. So, mentioned before that so Philadelphia rose to um, its peak population from the late 1800s up until it reached its peak around like uh, 1950. So, a lot of that growth in population was due to the diversity of manufacturing in Philadelphia. So Philadelphia, again, it was not a one-trick pony like it was in, for example, just involved in steel or coal or uh, automobile industry. So it was a very diverse manufacturing base, meaning Philadelphia was involved in textile production, in building ships, in chemicals, in building locomotives, railway cars, uh, hats, boots, leather. It was basically. Um, I read somewhere that of the 300 or so categories of different kinds of manufacturing, Philadelphia had included just about 90% of, like, I guess, what's possible in manufacturing. So basically, uh, it was a very diverse field of different kinds of manufacturing, different kind of products that were made in Philadelphia. So, because of this, the decline, which the whole United States experienced, a decline in manufacturing, but it was a slower process than it would have been if it was a single industry city. So, like for example, if a city is just steel and the steel industry crashed in a city, then it will be a pretty quick decline. But because it was so diversified, it took a long time to decline, and because it was a slow decline, uh, it was kind of like it wasn't thought of like, I guess, inevitable maybe. So there was, because of the slow decline, there was a slow to react response in how to combat the decline. And then the reason why manufacturing declined in Philadelphia is kind of different on how manufacturing declined elsewhere in the United States. So this is an excerpt from the Encyclopedia of Greater Philadelphia. So Philadelphia did not lose manufacturing jobs because national corporations purchased and liquidated the facilities of local firms to undo competition, nor because financiers breezily bought, broke up, and sold firms to make paper profits, nor because of foreign competition and the flight of businesses to low-wage areas in the U.S. and abroad, as happened in other American cities and regions over the course of the 20th century. So, so what happened with industry overall, or manufacturing overall in the U.S., is that like corporations would buy up um, uh, like different operations and close them to reduce competition. There was a movement first of industry to cheaper labor down south, and then later to overseas. So that didn't shape Philadelphia's decline. Philadelphia was very specialized in their manufacturing, so they weren't about mass production and cheap products, but rather they're about high quality, very specialized, custom products. So as the mass production, mass and cheap production became the norm, then the demand for like high quality custom products were declining. So therefore the demand, and therefore the industry itself, had a slow decline over time. And as it did for other previous manufacturing cities or just the economy in general, Philadelphia also has transitioned into more of a service economy. So at its peak, manufacturing jobs made up 45% of the entire city's labor force. But now manufacturing only accounts for, I believe, like below or 5%. 5% of the total jobs in Philadelphia is now in manufacturing when it used to be 45%. As a comparison, at the peak of manufacturing overall in the country, it used to be 32% of all employment in the U.S. used to be manufacturing, and now it's 10%. So it was a drastic difference in Philadelphia, where it used to be the almost majority, or like close to 50% of the entire city's workforce was manufacturing, and now it's below 5%, when overall in the U.S. 10% overall in the country is manufacturing. So it was a more pronounced decline in manufacturing. And I said before, the Philadelphia economy today, the largest employers or the largest sectors are the higher education and healthcare. So I printed out some information of what the workforce looks like in Philadelphia. So you can see here that healthcare, according to this graph, makes up the majority. And then the next, so you can see like it compares the data from 2016 to 2006, but still the trend was majority healthcare, and then the next most common is retail and hospitality. And as you can see, that median annual wage for retail and hospitality is low. So hence the Philadelphia being the poorest of the top 10 largest cities. So even though there's a large higher education and healthcare presence in Philadelphia, that doesn't necessarily translate to all those people living in Philadelphia city proper. So a huge percentage of people that actually live and also work in the city work in the retail and hospitality sector. I also printed out the also the top employers, as well as the breakdown of the top industries. So this one here shows the top 50 employers in Philadelphia County. Philadelphia County has the same boundaries as Philadelphia City, and it shows the top 3 employers of Philadelphia, or I guess I'll go down to the top 10. So the trustees of the University of Pennsylvania is top employer, the federal government, the City of Philadelphia municipal government, the School District of Philadelphia, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, Temple University, Thomas Jefferson University Hospital, Temple University Hospital, Southeastern PA Transportation Authority, and Comcast Cable Vision Corps is number 10. So you can see large representation of healthcare and higher education. So like the whole, like this, the public school system and the public transit is just, you'll see that in any large city, but something that sticks out is the healthcare and higher ed. And then I stopped at number 10 as being Comcast. So Comcast has its headquarters is in Philadelphia, and it also takes up quite a bit of office space in Center City or downtown Philadelphia. And this next list from the same source about the top 50 industries. So the top industry for the fourth quarter of 2023 was individual and family services. That's basically social services, like adoption, foster care, mental health, counseling services. Those, basic social services type work is number one, followed by general medical and surgical hospitals, and then 3 colleges, universities, professional schools. So there you go with the social services, meds, and eds. And number 4 you'll see is restaurants and other eating places. And the grocery and convenience retailers is number 11. So there's that retail sector that's large in terms of the total of the Philadelphia workforce. And so I mentioned before that who lives and works here shapes the culture of Philadelphia. So again, Philadelphia has the lowest median income and the highest poverty of the top 10 largest cities of the U.S. So this may or may not be related, but so Philadelphia sports fans have a reputation of being kind of rough around the edges, kind of harsh. So there's the Philadelphia fans are notorious for having thrown snowballs at Santa Claus in at some point in the 60s. The story goes, so that year, the Philadelphia Eagles NFL team had only won, like, I think 2 or 3 games that entire year, and that Santa Claus thing was supposed to be a Christmas celebration during halftime, and just before halftime, there was a pick six, so there was interception and a touchdown resulting for the other team before halftime. And then in halftime, like there was supposed to be someone in a Santa Claus costume with the cheerleaders and just throwing candy canes at the spectators. So the Santa Claus who was supposed to be there ended up not showing up because it snowed that day. They said that they weren't coming in. So what they did is they found just a random fan who was there who was wearing a Santa Claus costume. They asked him to do it instead, and he came out, and the sleigh got stuck. So people were kind of like unhappy with the way the game was going. They started throwing snowballs at him. But he was kind of a good sport about it. So he's apparently, when he went back to his seat afterward, and somebody was about to throw a snowball at him, and he said, "You aren't getting nothing for Christmas." So he was kind of a good sport about it. And another thing Philadelphia sports fans are known for is, well, particularly Eagles fans. In the 90s, there was an incident where another time it was it was a losing season, I believe, and there was somebody who shot a flare gun at so it was a game against the 49ers, and they were aiming the flare gun at 49ers fans. Nobody got hurt, but there were also, I think, 60 people that were involved in fistfights that day. So that caused the creation of a Eagles jail and Eagles court at the Veterans Stadium before they moved to Lincoln Financial. So for like a good part of that decade, or I don't know exactly how many years, there was actually an Eagles jail and court at the Veterans Stadium. So that's part of the reputation of Philadelphia sports fans. And also there was a survey. First, it was a survey about what Philadelphia residents think of Philadelphians and what the nation overall does. So among a survey of people that live in Philadelphia, they say Philadelphia ranks as the rudest city, whereas for the nationwide, Philadelphia is ranked number 9. So in general, people commonly would think that people that live in the cities are generally ruder than rural people. I guess it makes sense if you're in like cramped areas all the time, a lot of uh, noise. It might make somebody more cranky, I guess. But I guess there's just sort of, I think, uh, a bit of a maybe stereotype that working class people are rough around the edges and rude and obnoxious. So I'm not saying there is or isn't truth to that, but that may contribute to some of the feelings about Philadelphians being thought to be, I guess, rough around the edges and rude. But I think I kind of like that quality because it gives uh, it gives us kind of like, you got a little, someone's got to have a little edge to them. You can't be too nice, otherwise you can't trust anybody who's nice all the time. Like, what's their ulterior motive? Instead, you just you be real. You have to have a little edge to yourself and be honest. So I think those are actually good qualities. So this is a part 2 about what about love about Philadelphia and what makes Philadelphia a great city.